supports ourselves, and just even having that check-in with yourself. How am I today? What is it that I really need today? How can I support myself today? And just giving yourself the time to answer. We're so focused on what's next, what's next. If you can just be like, okay, let me breathe. Let me place my hand on my heart and just say, I'm okay, but what can I do right now? Because
There we go. Hi, Anna. Nice to
Hi.
meet you.
You
How are
too.
you doing today?
I'm really good. I'm full of like hope and energy, and I'm just loving 2024 at the moment.
Oh, I can really sense that from your energy in our conversations and also here on the call. And I'm so excited to be interviewing you today. So, as you may know, I'm Nicole, one of the coaches from Fearless Women. I'm our holistic health coach, and I would love to have an introduction of you. Like, who's Hannah?
Who is Hannah? So I'm a self-acceptance coach. I coach men and women, but I really love supporting women with coming to a place of feeling enough in themselves. We spend so much of our life changing and shrinking and thinking that we're not good enough to live our life. So I come at it at a place of accepting who you are, trusting that you're enough. And I guess I do a lot of work with energy as well, because I think that's really important to how we sort of feel and show up each day.
Yeah. This sounds amazing. I'm a little bit curious since our subject is fearless women,
Mhm.
what does fearless mean to you?
So I've changed my perception of fearless. So if
Yeah.
you asked me that when I was a teenager, or even like up until probably my 30s, I
Yeah.
thought fearless meant determination, pushing, like resilience, strength, like keep going, 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 going. And that's
Mm.
kind of what led me to burnout in my corporate world. And that was also connected to my upbringing. My dad's, this is nothing against my dad here, but our family motto was grit and determination. And it was really, really
Mm.
push, push, push. So to be fearless meant to like really like give it your all. And as much as I still show up and I've got resilience in my work, and I've show up in a way that I think is way more authentic to me now in my perception of fearless, which is to be confident and to trust that you're enough, to be able to show up and say, this is me. I'm here. I like who I am. I'm working on even loving who I am. Like the concept of love feels way out of reach for a lot of the clients that I work with. So it's just this sense of, this is me and I like me. That to me is fearless.
Wow. Oh my God, I love that. I've heard so many different descriptions of it, and I think it's so cool to realize that everyone has their own thing. Like fearless to them means so many different things depending on what history you have behind yourself. So it's
Mm.
so cool to hear, and thank you for sharing that. Um, Do you feel like there's any part of your life where you had to be, where you felt like you were really fearless or had to put on that like extra fearless note?
Oh wow, I've put on that fearless hat many a time. I lived in Australia for 10 years, and
Mm.
I had to come back to the UK because my dad had a stroke, and there was that sense of fearlessness from a sense of having to start my life again, which was so hard. And it was definitely one of the most challenging moments of my life. But that hardship also led me
Mm.
to realizing that I wanted more from my life. I decided to leave corporate not long after I got back to the UK because I wanted more. And I put my fearless hat on again when I left corporate and went to explore, getting into the wellness industry. So I think every time we are faced with change or uncertainty and we have to push out of our comfort zone, there's an element of fearlessness that we have to cultivate in order to be able to start to navigate a new path. So I think each and every one of us is having to be fearless in a sense every day. And it's kind of a lot of the work that I do with my clients, is this trusting that they're enough, trusting that they can try new things, and that we do not like change as human beings, right? Like there's so much resistance to getting out of our comfort zone, but if we can be like, I'm scared, but I'm going to do it anyway, I think that's a real element of fearlessness that,
Yeah.
I'm trying to introduce more and more into my day, actually, because we can, sit in our comfort zone and carry on, or we can try new things. We can be brave, and we can say yes, and jump in with 2 feet in. And that's kind of like the energy that I'm bringing into 2024 as well. Like, I'm scared, but I'm going to step forward anyway.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's so nice. And I really agree with the part of like, it's usually when we are, stuck in the comfort zone and, there's all this fear around us that we
Mm,
have to make a decision to just, like do it anyways. Jump into the scary dark water and just see what you will find.
mm,
And you never know for sure. But I think just taking that step and doing it anyways is what is going to lead to, all the growth. And, that's how you can see the results as well, even though maybe sometimes it isn't what you expected, but it's still, staying in the comfort zone, that's when you stay stuck usually.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, it's just so cool to hear your personal story as well of how you have battled with, fear and also being fearless. And I'm a little bit curious how you came into self-acceptance as your coaching niche.
Yeah, I heard this amazing podcast with Jamie Kern-Lima, which I remember sharing in the Shetty group, because I was so like blown away by how she approached, and I think Jay even referenced this as well, but it was coming from a place of, we are best set to serve the person that we once were, right? So I was this woman that was struggling to find herself, struggling to accept herself, thinking that I needed to change my physical appearance in order to be accepted, thinking that I needed to achieve something in order to make my dad or a boss proud. So I was constantly on this quest to change. I didn't accept who I truly was. And I only started to find myself when I got back from this yoga goddess retreat that I went on back in 2015, where I was just like, enough is enough. I'm fed up of talking to myself like my own worst enemy. And it's time to just embrace and just be me.
Yeah.
And the more that I started to share my story, and the more that I sort of, came out of the Jay Shetty, once I was qualified, I was like, it took me a while to find it, but then suddenly I was like, I want to help anyone who doesn't believe that they're good enough, anyone who doesn't
Mm.
accept themselves, anyone that is thinking that they need to change in order to fit in. And I kind of like, the more that I started to talk about it, the more that I was like, yes, this
Yeah.
is like, it just feels so right for me. I'm just so excited about it. And just the amount of people that I speak to that just live their life from a place of doubt, and it's just, I think there's also this comfort, and you probably find this as a coach as well, like the more that we share our story, the more that we get the response of, oh wow, you felt that too, or wow, you've been like it. And I think this with fearless women as well, like the more stories we share, the more that we resonate, so people don't feel like they're alone, they don't feel like they're the only one that's gone through this or that. So I think, yeah, I just love I just love the acceptance thing. I think if we can accept ourselves, we can step forward and do anything if we really believe in who we are.
Yeah. That's so true. Like it always comes from within. Like it starts from within and that's how you can like expand as well. Um, what do you feel for you? What was most important for you? Like why was it so important for you to start accepting yourself?
I think because for most of my life, I always went on this quest, like, I'll be happy when I lose weight. I'll be happy when I get to a certain dress size. I'll be happy when I find love. I'll be happy when I get promoted. And I was like wishing my life away. And I was like, I kind of, yeah, I just got to this place of I was just done talking down to myself. And I kind of didn't know what it meant at the time, to be like, if I accepted myself, then I would be able to do this. But I knew that I'd had enough in how I was currently living. And the whole theme of the goddess retreat that I went on was self-love. And it was so transformative to me. I just came back and I was like, I just had this whole air of just contentment, acceptance, like trust in, I don't know where I'm going, but I know it's going to be okay. Like, I know it was just a complete detachment from expectation. And I got back and my friends were like, whoa, what's happened to you? Like, I was just like, and there was obviously such a shift in me that I just, things started to open up and I started to, I don't know, just, so I think, yeah, it's kind of like, and this, I guess, is something that I'm sort of working on towards, like, how do we know if we don't accept ourselves? Like, unless you actually say, well, maybe if I supported myself, then I would be able to do that. And I think it's even coming from a place of, if we can just invest in ourselves and give ourselves the time, the self-care, the nurturing, the compassion, the hug, I think we're so mean to ourselves all the time. And I think the more that I've introduced compassion into my day, like almost like the little self-coach, the little Hannah in my head that's like, it's okay, it's, don't worry, we're going to figure things out. And the more that the way I feel each day is completely shifted. Like, I sleep better. I'm like, I've got this air of like energy about me. Like, I just go about my day in a completely different mindset. And I think it's just coming from a place of just like trust and letting go almost.
Yeah. Oh, I love to see the passion you have when you're speaking about it. You can really see that you're just like glowing and that it means a lot to you. I truly believe that if people would accept themselves earlier on in life, they could start, spreading their wings and start like just exploring without feeling, kind of like just like narrowed down. Because I've definitely had a lot of issues with self-acceptance and, just like walking through life and always questioning yourself, always being like you said as well, always thinking that I will be happy when I lose this amount of pounds, or I will be happy when always have these things in your head. And then you realize that when you get to that change and you still don't feel happy and you
Yeah.
still don't feel fulfilled, and you realize that maybe this is not what I needed. Maybe I just needed to accept who I am right now instead of seeking all these external things that's going to change it, or just like these shallow like physical things as well. So yeah, it's just so cool. And I'm
Yeah,
really,
I think a lot of it is down to, where we grew up, what we exposed ourselves to, social media, like how that's impacted. We're constantly comparing ourselves to influencers and people that are living these amazing lives. And like, obviously we're just seeing like a snippet of that person's life. We've got no idea what's going on behind closed doors, but we think that we constantly think our life isn't good enough from what we see around us. So I think, it's even harder for anyone to navigate life, especially if they've been brought up on, we're all brought up on conditional programming as well. You do this and you get a chocolate, or do your homework, you can stay up late. So it's constantly, if I do this, then what, then what, then what? But with the constant quest of wanting to be validated and wanting to be seen and heard. And yeah, so life is tough, which is why we exist, right?
yeah, exactly. That's why coaches can be so great to have as support, as guidance, because I feel like it is challenging growing up in today's society. It really is. I've been wondering a lot of times how different it would be if we grew up without phones, without social media, without everything, because then the only people you would compare yourself to is the people you meet in like everyday life. And that may be, 10, 20 people, and not, like 100,000 people that you see on social media and them living their lives. And I think there's both positive and negative aspects to social media, definitely.
Yeah.
But just seeing or just knowing how much I have even compared myself when I was a teenager. I remember like every day thinking that my life was not good enough because I saw how everyone else was living, and like growing up and realizing now like wow, how unhealthy that was. Like how easy it is, especially with your teenage mind, to think that this is normal, like this is their full life, the thing they're showing here, that's exactly how their life is. There's nothing bad. Everything is perfect. And then you grow up, you start realizing that, like me myself, I don't post when I'm sitting and crying or something like that. And that also made me realize that maybe we should post more about that and show real life, show how life actually is. Some days we're just sitting in a sofa and having no energy. Some days we're, like high on life. And it's just, I don't know. I think that's the beautiful thing about life. It goes up and down.
Mm.
We just have to find kind of like our what do you call it? Like our like tools and techniques to make ourselves like how do you say, like handle the situations when it comes up, like this lack of self-acceptance. Do you have any specific like tools that you could share with us?
To sort of cultivate this sense of self-acceptance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of work on gratitude, grateful for if someone's struggling with their physical appearance, gratitude for the fact that your heart is beating, your lungs are breathing, you're able to, if you're fortunate enough, get up and walk around each day. Approaching things with compassion as well, this sense of like nurturing and
Yeah.
just trying to support ourselves rather than beat ourselves down. I think especially when we're waking up each day with that sense of stress and unease, and our bodies living each day from fight or flight. So if we can just come back to grounding ourselves, getting out in nature, breathing some fresh air, doing some exercise, going for a walk, like connecting with a friend, I think there's so much that we can do that's for free, that supports ourselves, and just even having that check-in with yourself. How am I today? What is it that I really need today? How can I support myself today? And just giving yourself the time to answer. We're so focused on what's next. If you can just be like, okay, let me breathe. Let me place my hand on my heart and just say, I'm okay, but what can I do right now? Because sometimes we're in this autopilot, right? We're working, we've got to do this, we've got to do this, we've got a to-do list. And sometimes we don't feel like it. Sometimes, maybe we do just want to go on sit on the sofa and watch something on Netflix. And every time I've actually honored what I really want and given myself the time, I've come back to my laptop like, okay, I'm ready now. So it's kind of like, I think just giving yourself the time to check in is really, really important.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that is so true. And I think that a lot of people relate to what you just said about, like some days just wanting to sit down on the sofa, and sometimes that is what you need to recharge and to do what you actually, like as for our case, the business, we want to work in our business, but some days we also need to recover. And if we don't like allow ourselves to feel like, what do I need today? Do I need just to breathe and sit down and take it slow, or do I need to, work a full day, be very productive, like listen into your body and like
Yeah.
see how you feel. And yeah, it's beautiful, all the tools you gave, just like gratitude. Like I know that for some people it sounds so silly. I know people are like, I don't know, I don't feel comfortable waking up and just saying like I'm grateful for my bed or something like that. But I'm like, yeah, but it's such a good practice actually. It really helps us, like, even if it feels silly in the beginning, you start understanding why you're doing it when you start feeling how it really affects how you're thinking. Like it kind of like rewires the brain to think positively and be to find gratitude for not the big trip you're doing this year, but just the small stuff, as you have a bed and you have a good night's sleep and you have a family or you have good food that you can cook or like whatever, like the small stuff. It's
Yeah.
so easy to forget about them.
Yeah, 100%. We're so focused on what's going wrong, but when you draw your focus to what you have and what supports you, and like even if gratitude is a word, sometimes people are like, oh yeah, whatever. Like even just to say thank you. And
Yeah.
sometimes I just place my hand on my heart, say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And it's almost like you wait to see what comes up. Thank you for this conversation. Thank you. I get to listen to this conversation, get to be part of this conversation. There's so much to be thankful for, and the fact that we woke up today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I love that. Oh, I really like your just the positivity in, yeah, we did wake up today and we're sitting here now. And that's that's awesome, because like if you asked me like a couple of months ago, I didn't think I was gonna sit here with you. I didn't
Yeah.
know who you were, and now I'm like I got to connect with a beautiful human being, and I learn a lot from just our conversation now. And I think it's just so beautiful to be open and
Yeah, I
be
mean,
grateful.
there's so much wonder out there as well. I know I was giving social media a bad name, but like me as a woman in business, to have social media, I've connected with so many women online, from all
Yeah.
different practices and businesses, and I've met I've made friends on social media as well. So I think that we're so isolated a lot of the time, especially if you're a female entrepreneur or starting your own business. Then I think if we can reach out and share and support each other and cheer each other on, like
Yeah.
there's so much power in that, like really supporting one another. And like with Fearless Women, like that community that's building there, like that's going to be a powerhouse and make some real huge impacts for a lot of women across the world. And that's just like, the more we do that, the more that we can change the world.
Yeah. 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 If social media would have like more communities like this to focus on, like more community and less just individuality, I think that would be a very beautiful thing, because I've seen people thrive from community, just feeling a sense of belonging and finding your place, your space where you feel good. Because I think that's really important. Like you said, social media is a good place if you if you kind of narrow things down. Like don't have to be everywhere. Find the accounts that make you feel good. Find the medias that you feel like this is something I relate to. I think that would be much healthier than to take in every noise you hear and check everything. And yeah, I don't know, it's good to have boundaries. I think that's where I'm going.
No, I
Well,
mean, again, that's sort of checking in with yourself in that, is
yeah.
this account serving me right now? Is this account making me feel good? No? Okay, unfollow, look at surrounding yourself with people who inspire you, that make you feel good, that,
Mhm.
because, we adapt to who we see in our surroundings. So it's so important to make sure that what you're absorbing is
Yeah.
is for the benefit of you rather than making you feel like crap.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love that. That's exactly what I meant too.
Yeah.
So for women now who are, struggling with self-acceptance, what is usually like the most common obstacle they face?
I guess it's depending on, like, I've got a few clients that are wanting to meet the one, right? And this is from my coming from my place as well, as like I thought I didn't deserve love. I thought that love wasn't for me, and that if I was to find love, I needed to change. And that's kind of a lot of women that come to me um frustrated that they're surrounded by other couples, and everyone else feels like they're happy, and when is it going to be my time, when is it going to happen for me? And I always approach it with a place of, well, first of all, you've got to be totally accepting in where you are at and who you are. Like, be accepting, and also be okay with being on your own. Like, a partner is there to, add another cherry on your already decorated cake. So if we can, like, just be like, I'm okay with who I am, and I trust
Yeah. Mhm.
that whoever is meant to be in my life will come into my life at the right time. And because I, for years, went about finding a partner completely the wrong way. And I think it's just coming into sort of just accepting who you are and where you're at. And trust is definitely like the magic ingredients to start to shift your energy as well. Like, if you can be completely joyous and content and happy in your life as it is right now, then you're going to start to be opening up to even more opportunities, and like attracts like, right? So it's kind of like, you've got to be happy where you're at right now first and foremost. That's your biggest priority, to be okay with who you are, and then okay, now I'm ready to bring in other things.
Yeah. Oh, that is so interesting to hear you say, because that's something that I learned too, like just a couple of years ago, because I was also the person who was looking for my other half, kind of. I was looking for my other half because I didn't see myself as full, kind of. I
Mm.
saw myself as like, I need someone to complete me. And then, like just growing up and getting, your brain evolves and you just start, you have a lot of life experience and you realize that, wait, like I have to be full by myself. And then someone can come in and just make it extra good, of course. But if I'm always gonna be, like searching for my last puzzle piece or something, then that is also something that can be taken away, kind of. You have
Yeah.
to make sure that you're full first and that no one can take that away from you, even if it's a partner that will come and you will live happily ever after or not. But
Mm,
if not, you don't want that person to leave and you feeling half full again, or you feeling, just
yeah.
searching for a new other half. I think
Yeah.
that's very important. I think that's something that I know I got wrong as a young person who just thought that everyone was talking like, oh, I found my other half. And I was like, I also want to do that. So I never thought about building my base up myself and then letting whatever come, whatever matches my energy, just like naturally flow into my life.
Yeah.
And it's huge. And I think it's so cool that you're helping people with that, because I could have needed that a couple of years ago.
I could have needed me 10 years ago as well.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's, it's
Yeah.
the reminder to a lot of my clients that you are the number one person in your life, and because I've also worked with women who are burnt out. They're not prioritizing time for self-care because they don't believe that they are worthy of it. They don't believe that they deserve it, that everyone else is more important than they are, saying yes to everything and being everything to everyone, but not
Yeah.
being anyone to themselves. And it's kind of
Mhm.
like, you've got to invest time for you and look after you, because without your health, as you all know as a health coach,
Mhm.
we cannot live our life,
Yeah.
right? So it's kind of like, invest in you. You are the most important person, and then from there, then you can start to look at what else you want to bring in.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's so true. And like you said, it's so important that like if you're not healthy and you're trying to help everyone else and fix their problems, so I think that like you cannot serve someone completely if you're not healthy and well yourself.
Mhm.
Like you have to focus on build your grounds first to then, help other people grow and like help other people with whatever they need. And especially when it comes to health, like if you let it go so far that you become sick or get like, chronic stress diseases and all of that, then who are you going to help? So if you want to be able to help someone fully, just work on yourself first. And
Yeah.
then I think everything else will just come naturally. You will help people and you will be able to serve them so much better too, because you are now not lacking anything. Like you have everything yourself. And that way you can also give. That's at least that's what I believe.
Yeah, no, I agree too, 100%.
I would love to hear from you if you have a specific like client success story that you would love to share with us today about, self acceptance or anything like related to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think my the client that immediately springs to mind, she came to me when I first met her, she basically burst into tears. I was actually went into her workplace to do a workshop on
Mm.
stress resilience for her organization. And she was like, "Have you got 5 minutes?" And we went for a walk around the block, and she was like, she was just in tears. She was so lost. She used to started to she referred to herself as disgusting, that she was
Oh,
pathetic, that she wasn't worthy, that she didn't deserve, that she was in a toxic relationship. She was really overworked. She was disengaging from her friends because she just felt that her life was so miserable that she didn't even want to burden them with it. She also hadn't really processed that she lost her father when she was quite young, and the work that we did, she's a completely different person now. She, when I first started telling her about, affirmations and changing the narrative of how she spoke to herself, she was just like, there is no way I could say that. Like, she cringed at the thought of just even saying, I'm okay and I like myself. She couldn't even say it. And now she's got like, she says affirmations so freely, like she's got them still all around her mirror in her house. And she midway through our sessions together, she ended it with a toxic relationship because she realized that he wasn't giving her what she needed. She's got so much more confidence. She's just met a new guy, and like when she told me that I've just met him, and this was a work colleague who when she first met him, she was like, oh my God, he's so like out of my league. I'm not good enough for him. And like as soon as she felt good enough in herself, she obviously had such a shift in she messaged me over Christmas to say, he's just told me he loves me. And I'm just like, I feel like, it's a cross of relationship of like being her coach, but also I see her as
Yeah.
like I see her as my younger self, actually.
Yeah.
So she's kind of like a little sister to me. But she put in the work. She was committed to, changing her routine, like building out more time for meditation and gratitude and starting to just put herself first, invest in herself. So I think any client who comes to us that's like ready to do the work is going to see the results, because we're there to hold their hand. We're there to like put a spotlight on their life and help them see things from a different perspective. But ultimately, they are responsible for taking action, and I think, and she 100% did. And she's a completely different person. So yeah, she's definitely my biggest sort of transformation. I've got lots of other stories, but I won't take up any more airtime on that. But it's just so rewarding. I don't know how you find it as well. Like when you see a client at the beginning and then at the end, it's just it just makes it all worthwhile, and why we do what we do, right?
Yeah. Oh, your story just gave me like the chills. I have goosebumps. Oh gosh, it made me so happy to hear. Like you say, yeah. Also, like those success stories, just to hear, you're just being a part of it, just seeing like the beginning and now. It's like it isn't my life I've changed, but just seeing how you help someone change their life from this to that. It doesn't have to be awful before, but just seeing like the small changes that for them means so much.
Yeah.
I don't know, it just makes me happy, as if it was my own life. As if it was like myself, or for someone I loved, like some family member. Like you just become so involved, and you really just want the best for that person.
Yeah.
So I understand how much that, like, just see, like, being a part of her journey and seeing how she just started loving herself, and that way she was open to receiving like the right kind of love as well. I know, I have no words. I think it's so cool. It's such a cool work, and I feel like it's so empowering to say that, like, for us coaches to say that we helped someone achieve this, and for them to say, I am empowered and created this new life for myself. Like I made this. Like this is me. And I don't know, it's just so cool.
Yeah, and I think it's also, taking responsibility for, I want to change something in my life. I can carry on, do the same thing and feel different, feel the same way, or I can be like, I'm going to take some action and do something different. And I think, yeah, if we can really own that, then that's where we're going to be like, investing in ourselves and wanting to do the work as well.
Yeah.
Because I think, there's so many of us that be like, oh, well, this is me now. I've got, that sort of fixed mindset of there's no opportunity, there's no way I can change because I wasn't able to change last time. But actually, there 100% is, if you just if you can take just that one step. And I think that's another thing that we do as well. It's just like we give the confidence to be able to like, okay, it's okay, take another step, you've got this. Like, so yeah, it's really rewarding. I love it.
Yeah, I really agree. And just sometimes, like, just having that guidance, or having that someone who pushes you, because maybe you don't have that around you, and just finding that help. I know it's just such an important part of the journey to not feel like you're doing it all on yourself, like all on your own, that you have some kind of like support or guidance on the way, because sometimes we don't want to do everything on our own. Like sometimes it is nice to have a supporting pillar behind you that helps keep you, like, working towards your goal and not forgetting about them, because sometimes, life happens and you just get distracted, and then you just don't remember what you were working for anymore. And just having that constant reminder, like, this is your goal, like this is what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
It really helps. It really helps. It's, the results comes much faster, and, it helps you stay focused,
Mm.
really.
Yeah, I mean, I often say to my clients, the ones that are particularly struggling, like if they say, okay, tomorrow morning I'm going to exercise, and I'll be like, okay, that's great. Like we talk through the plan, like making it easy, making it simple, and I'm like, do you want me to check in on you and so you can tell me that you did it? And they're like, they always say, oh yes, please. And then it's like this sense of like whenever I get the WhatsApp and there's a picture of them in their workout gear, and I'm like, oh, proud. But that, it's that accountability that helps us again. And then, they don't need to check in with me every day because they've got the bit of the flow.
Yeah.
And even I had a client that she was just really, really low. She had no energy, no motivation. And she was
Yeah.
like, I keep ending up on the sofa having my morning coffee. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, have you thought about maybe having your coffee in the kitchen? And she was
Yeah.
like, oh no. And I'm like, it was so simple, such a simple change, but she just hadn't thought of it in that way. And then she sent me a picture like, oh, here's my morning coffee, where she's like looking out the window, looking at the snow. So it's
Yeah.
sometimes we're so in the weeds of it all. If someone's just like, have you thought of
Yeah.
that? Oh no, wow, that's amazing. It's kind of like, yeah, it's so simple, but so effective.
Yeah. No, like, it's usually it is the smallest changes that makes the biggest difference.
Mm,
Not going from never working out in your life to then working out every day of the week. Like, that is not sustainable. That probably won't work in the long run. But,
yeah.
just making like a small change in your everyday life, like in your lifestyle, that will help you make the bigger change. Like, that is what makes it matter. Like, that is the most important part of, achieving that goal. So it's like those little small goals on the way. And it's
Mm,
so cool to see how, like, because I didn't believe in that before becoming a coach myself. I always thought that I needed to do the biggest shit. Like, I just woke up one day like, I want to exercise 5 times a week. And then I did that for 1 week. And then it was just like, next year I was like, no, I'm not
yeah.
doing this anymore.
Yeah.
So it is really just like finding a step that works for you and that is, achievable for you, because everyone is so different, definitely.
Yeah, yeah, it's the baby steps. I often just ask my clients like, can you just find like a minute each day just to breathe, or can you find a minute each day to write down 3 things you're grateful for? And they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, I can find a minute. And it's kind of like, well, okay. And then after a minute, they're like, oh, actually, I might do this a bit longer. So it's
Yeah.
making it so simple and small at the beginning to get the momentum, and then you're going to want
Yeah.
to, bring in more.
Yeah. We even want it to feel silly because they're like, 1 minute? Like, are you sure? You're like, yes, 1 minute. That's the only thing we need.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was actually thinking about starting to wrap this up now. So I have some final questions for you. Do you
Okay.
feel okay with that?
Let's do it.
Mhm. So first, I'm curious to know, do you have three fearless women who have inspired you? It doesn't have to be three, but I'm saying three so you won't go over. Can
Um,
be one, two, or three.
Well, the immediate one is Mel Robbins. I
Mhm.
I love her. Just her podcast, her book. She makes it so
Yeah.
simple. I aspire to her so much because, and this is for any woman who's listening to this or watching this, that you are never too old to start.
Yeah.
And I'm 43, and Mel Robbins, when she started to move into the motivational speaking, she was like in her mid 40s. I don't know the exact age. I should know this as one of her biggest fans, but she was a lawyer, and then
Yeah.
she's now one of the most booked out speakers globally. So I aspire to her being like, I'm gonna be the next Mel Robbins. It's happening. I love Brené Brown as well, just for
Yeah.
her authenticity, her just a lot of the stuff she speaks about is so inspiring to me in the work that I
Yeah.
do. And I'd also have to say Jamie Kern-Lima, for the founder of It Cosmetics, that's now written the book, I Believe, and a second book, Worthy. And she was the podcast that I listened to that was really transformative, in that she had so much resilience within her. She created It Cosmetics, and she was told no so many times, but she was like, nah, 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 nah. And, you know, even one investor said that, no, I'm not going to invest in you. And she was like, can I ask you why? And he said, because no one will want to buy into your brand looking the way that you look. And imagine hearing that, like,
Yeah.
would be flawed, but she was like, nah, I don't agree with you. And so her resilience and knowing her why really, really impacted me. So yeah, they would be my top three. I mean, there's lots more. I'm glad you gave me just three.
Yeah.
And Jay Shetty as well. Let's not forget all the men in our lives. Like Jay Shetty has obviously impacted me massively too.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's great. Jay can be an exception because I asked for fearless women, but I think he can be included there.
Without Jay Shetty, we wouldn't be here, right? So
Exactly. So definitely. And gosh, first I just have to mention like Mel Robbins. I also agree. Oh, she is amazing, so wise that sometimes I'm like, how do one become so wise? Like, how? And then it's just great because then you have something, like you said, you have something to look up to, and you have someone to like, oh, I want to be that, and then you just know what to work on, like how to work on it, and just like keep pushing yourself. So yeah, I'm also like, she's definitely on my list too. She's amazing.
Yeah, I do the high five every day.
Yeah.
Definitely part of my morning rituals. So I'll be on her podcast one day. It's happening.
Yeah, definitely. And I will watch it. Definitely. Okay. So the next question would be, so if your life would have a movie title, what would it be?
Oh God.
You have some time to think. It's not an easy question.
I'm fucking amazing. I just swore, sorry.
It's okay.
I don't know. That's I don't know whether it would be called that. I don't know. Let's just go with I'm fucking amazing.
Yeah.
That'll do for now.
You know what? That's great. That's great. And that's the first thing that came up to your mind. Stick with it. Because I think that there's definitely there's a reason why you said it. Probably because it's true.
Sorry to offend everyone with the F-bomb.
We're fearless women here. I think we can express ourselves freely.
It's a good question though. I'm gonna have a play around with that.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I think it's a really good question because like usually people, like, I wouldn't even know what to answer, to be honest. Like I think I would be like, oh wow, like I would be kind of like, if someone would ask that to me, I would be surprised, like, oh, what a question. So I think it's good with those just unexpected questions.
Do you have a title in mind for you now? You've like pondered on it a bit?
Nope. I definitely don't have it.
Working on it.
I don't have it yet. It's gonna come if I get asked the question in another interview. But here and now, I'm focused on you totally, so I can't think of my own life here now. Okay, so my last question for you is: do you have any advice to our viewers here today?
I would say be you. Trust that you are enough. Trust that you are where you are meant to be right now. Even if you are struggling, you are meant to be here. Whether you're learning something new or whether you're being redirected down another path, I think if we can just really let go and trust in what's next. And what I've got on my vision board at the moment, and I love this just simple statement of, let's see how good this year can get. And I've been saying to myself every day, and it sounds so simple, but it just puts you into the mindset shift of, oh yeah, like what's out there? What can we do? Like, you know, so yeah, let's see how good this year can get.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's so amazing because you have the positivity, like of how good it can get. So you have the positive note, and you also have the curiosity, just like I want to know, I want to explore, I want to see what will happen. And yeah, that's so amazing. Thank you so much.
One more that I just used with a client earlier is this: rather than saying I have to, I need to, I get to. I
Yeah.
get to do this podcast. I get to get out of bed each day. I get to go to work. I get to move my body. Like I get to as well, shifts you into, oh yeah, wow. So even if gratitude doesn't resonate with you, just use I get to.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you also heard a thing about, seeing the glass as half full instead of half empty?
Yeah.
Does that resonate with you? Any like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't use it as much, but yeah, I mean, it totally makes sense. Like to see, like, what if it all works out? What if, looking for the opportunities, looking rather than focusing on, and also I often, I don't know whether you've seen the show This Is Us, but
Yeah.
the game of like worst case scenario, what's the worst that could happen? And when you actually sound that out, you're like, actually, that's not too bad. Or if it does happen, I'll find a way to figure it out. And this comes back to this sense of
Yeah.
trust. If something doesn't go your way, or if you're going through hardship, you'll find a way to figure it out. We are never given anything that we can't get, work our way through. So it's kind of like just looking for the opportunity and saying yes and just being open, I think is definitely a way to sort of shift your energy into attracting, new opportunities and attracting people that are going to lift you up and radiate your life, not pull you down.
Yeah. Definitely. That's beautiful. I think if we look at it today, um, we are still here. So every hardship we have been going through, every, like challenge, anything, we have made it through it somehow because we're still here.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you
Yeah.
so, so much for your insight, Hannah. I think you're such a wise woman.
Oh.
Definitely Mel Robbins material here.
Thank you.
It was so nice talking to you today, and I really appreciate you just showing up, giving you our time and energy, so positive, so you like it's just like a shining star or something that showed up here, and I'm so glad to be
Oh,
interviewing
thank
you.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you. No, it's been lovely to chat to you too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the episode.
Yeah, me too. I'm so excited. Okay. Have a beautiful and lovely day. Thank you so, so much. And looking forward to the release dates. It's going to be this Sunday, if I'm not wrong.
Yay. Okay.
Yay. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, take
Bye
care.
bye.
Bye.